Okay, good evening everyone. Strangely enough, I'm doing another video. I thought I'd do a quick overview of today's proceedings as I've sort of pretty much put the beast together. I've mounted I've pretty much stripped it and rebuilt it really, mainly to get the balance correct, because obviously now I've added the gimbal, the balance was all out by miles. So here's the gimbal on the front with the Boscam HD08, I think it is, which is like a GoPro clone. I've featured that in a previous post. Gimbal controller that I featured in the last post, on its little rubber mounts on its top plate. Now these here are from another one of my projects. I won't bother to go into it now, but these are aluminium flexible beam couplers. Generally, I usually use them for linking two shafts together. They're aluminium with a helical cut in them, so they're like little shock absorbers. So they're flexible, but there's no black backlash on them. When I was looking around for something suitable to mount this gimbal, because I had to mount the gimbal proud of the frame plate, because otherwise it fouls these legs. It's a bit difficult to tell from this angle, but believe me, it does. You can't mount this up here because it fouls the leg. So I used a couple of these torsional couplers to stand the gimbal off. Still plenty of clearance. The legs were quite good actually. These were really cheap. They were like £3.50. Took a few weeks to arrive from China, but they fit this frame perfectly. They're not amazingly rigid, but they're pretty rigid. I mean, I've flown it and they're good. Anyway, so I've got the Boscam HD08 on the bottom for proper videoing, and at the top is will be when I get a receiver, the Boscam TR1 FPV camera, but it also records HD video as well, and it's got an integrated 200 milliwatt transmitter, hence the antenna. Okay, I've set the radio up now so I can pitch and roll the Boscam. So on pitch trim on the radio, here we are, pitch trim here, I can pitch the camera down. That's full deflection pitch trim. It's not completely down, but I think that'd be fine. I could twiddle it down a bit further. If you twiddle it too far, the gimbal gets a bit unstable because the cables start fouling. So I didn't want to do that, and I don't really want to shoot straight down, I would have thought. So yeah, that's full deflection of the pitch trim that way. And if I twiddle it back, camera comes up and it goes up to about 30 degrees, and with the pitch trim set to 0, if I could see it, then it's pretty much flat, slight down inclination. And then on the where are we gone? Not that one, sorry, camera's pointing in funny directions. On the throttle cup trimmer, I've set up so I can do a little bit of roll, not much. I set it up to about 10, plus or minus 10 degrees. I think it was 10. So that's full deflection one way and full deflection the other way. Let's stick it in the middle. It's about flat, bang on, pretty much flat, yeah. So if I attempt to sorry, this is handheld, so it's a bit rubbish. As I pitch the model backwards and forwards and back and up and down, obviously the camera stays level. Okay, so the rest of the model, I've got new props on because I had my little accident and broke the props. These are carbon fibre props which came from China. They seem quite good actually. I mean, I'm no expert on props, as this is a first build, but they look pretty good. They were 4 pairs, so two complete sets for about £13. They're carbon fibre, and I've put them on my prop balancer back there, and they were bang on. A little bit of trim on the side of the hub, just to get it. But in terms of balance, as in blade to blade, they were bang on. The only slight problem I had was that they were an 8mm bore, and these are 6mm motors, and they didn't come with any spacers, so I had to make some. So I made some spacers, and those push fitted in perfectly, and then they're absolutely bang on now, and they work really well. So what have I done? Oh, I've had to move the battery, not surprisingly. So the battery was originally sitting pretty much central. I've now got quite a larger void in the middle of the model, which was originally the battery, and I've had to push the battery right back here in order to offset the weight of the gimbal. So the centre of gravity is now there, which is that little hole, which is the middle of this. There's a cutout under here, which the APM controller is sitting on top, and that hole there, if you draw a line from motor tip to motor tip, it passes through that hole, and similarly in the other direction. So that is basically the C of G. So if I pick it up sort of roughly on that hole, it's perfectly balanced. But I had to move the battery all the way to the rear to achieve that. Receiver stayed where it is. Ardu Pilot or APM stayed where it is. I changed the mount for the GPS because the previous one just had a single screw and it kept vibrating loose, and also it was a bit of a pain because every time I wanted to turn the model over, this thing was in the way. Whereas this design, you unscrew this collet here, and the whole antenna will fold over, so you can flip the whole model upside down, and it will sit on its motor bolts, which is quite handy. Although it's a lot easier to work on now that it's on its little legs. So yeah, all good. I've flown it. Now, I was getting 12 minutes before the alarm went off before, but I've added a lot of weight. It's now, the whole model, done, everything on it is 1.74 kilos. And from a Turnigy 3.3 amp hour 3-cell battery, I'm getting 9 minutes flight time until the alarm goes off, and then maybe another 1.5, 1 3/4 minutes before things start getting a bit hairy. So yeah, you're looking at 9 minutes flight time on that battery. But I say this is getting a bit. It's pretty heavy now. Over 1.7 kilos. What I'm hoping, I've got a new set of motors. I've got the Turnigy 2217s, which I'm going to fit. These are Emax 2216s. I'm going to fit the 2217s. Put a larger prop with a steeper pitch on, and see if I can improve the flight efficiency a little bit. It's an experiment. I mean, these motors really, I don't think. I mean, they're only rated at sort of with these props at this voltage about 700. I think about 700 grams. Well, if you use the rule, take the weight, double it, divide by 4, then these are really not man enough. Although it hovers quite happily at half throttle. It's half throttle. It's hovering perfectly. It's just the obviously you pay with flight time. So anyway, so this is all put together, and hopefully tomorrow, if the weather holds, I'm going to do a flight with both cameras running, because this camera will shoot HD as well as transmitting. Oh, it's getting ever so hot. Doesn't look right. As well as transmitting, so I'm going to see. I'm going to see the difference between the two cameras. One stabilised, one not. Anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers.